I'm gonna hit record right now because I forgot. But either way, so one thing, according to board source, leading with intent report, nearly 50% of nonprofit executives say their board members don't understand their role. I don't know about you, but if you've been to Facebook groups for nonprofit organization, a lot of them say that the board members don't do a thing. That's a common theme across the board. Like they will say some of their board members are not very active, and that's a real big deal. Okay. Because what happens when people in power in your organization aren't clear on what their jobs are, they start meddling in things they don't fully understand, where they want to control the activities, the day-to-day activities, but they have no idea what the community looks like. They have no idea of what the mission and vision is because they don't really have that level of interaction with what's happening with the organization. They're confusing their opinions with strategy because a lot of people don't want to say, a lot of board members, they do certain things because of their ego, right? It's not coming from a genuine place of wanting to help the mission grow. They are really, hey Gregory, how are you doing? They're really there because they want to have a sense of I'm a boss, right? I make decisions, but we need to really not confuse opinions with strategy, and we need to call people out when they're trying to say that they can make a decision, but really they don't understand what's needed to make these decisions, right? And they have a tendency to create friction where there should be forward movement. And the reason for that is because they really don't know what they're doing. Okay, and it's okay. Some people don't know what they're doing and they're in positions they shouldn't be in. I call this operational interference disguised as governance because at the end of the day, like you will have board members and really team members in general interfere with the operation of an organization because they want to govern or they think they're governing, right? No, you're just micromanaging in hopes that you feel important and impeding the growth of an organization. So I'll give you an example of an organization I observed, right? The executive director was restructuring the program teams and trying to align staffing with new funding, right? The team was on board, the numbers made sense when I looked into it, but a board member who has not visited or has not been in a board meeting, has not visited for 3 years, right? Because then that's why I tell people it's important to look at your bylaws. Objected. Why did they object? They had a quote unquote feeling, just like I don't know about you, some people are functioning on vibes lately. They had a feeling it was in the right move, right? The hesitation cost them over $40,000 in excess staffing, and it led to two people resigning because the decision was the right decision for that organization. But the board member who had a feeling without looking at the data actually cost the organization more than it was risking. Okay, so the executive director was stuck cleaning up that mess that she didn't create because now she had to restructure and replan how to replace these people that resign, these team members that resign, all because someone thought governance meant control. And board members, they're meant to support an organization and not really interfere when they don't understand. So that's something I want you to really think about because then you want your board to show up for you as the leader of the organization and not against you as the leader of the organization because the goal here is for both of you to work in tandem and get the mission and vision moving forward. Okay, so one thing I'm going to ask you is to drop a heart or a one in the chat if you've ever had a board delay or derail a decision your staff was ready to execute. I want you to be honest about this because a lot of times board members will actually delay certain things. So if that's you, drop a one in the comments because, and also I want you to let me know what's one thing that you wish your board would stop doing. Like, drop it in the comments. I really want to know. And I see me child join on Instagram. Hi, how are you? Let me know your name. I'd love to address you by name. if possible. So, one thing you wish your board would stop doing, I'm going to put that question in the comments on Facebook. What is one thing you wish your board would stop doing? And definitely let me know in the comments. If you do not want to let me know in the comments, DM me your answer to that question because I'd love to interact with you and get your thoughts on that. Okay. Now, what good governance actually looks like, I said we'll also talk about that. Now, when you think about it, good governance looks like board members that are guiding the organization in the right direction and they're not trying to micromanage. What I mean by guiding, like the board member will see what's happening within the organization's day to day and actually be able to give feedback. Like, okay, this looks like it's going well. Now, what is the purpose of this or what's going to happen? Did you guys think this through? They help the leaders, the data like people that are on the ground and doing the work actually get through it. So they're functioning as a coach if needed to help the leaders, the day-to-day leaders get through their day and know what they're doing, right? They're approving direction, not daily decisions, because daily decision is not the board members' role because they're not doing the work daily. They're not in the day to day and they're supporting the executive director. They're not there to override them at every turn because of control. Okay. So, what do you do if your board is out of pocket? Now, that's a question I want you to be able to answer and be able to do. So you have to like implement structures. You have to have structures in place and make sure you know what to do when your board is out of pocket. Because in this day and age, like a lot of people think their opinions are facts and their opinions like will, I don't know, some people think they can control everything. So what I want you to do is I want you to start implementing structure, right? I want you to clarify responsibilities in writing. I want you to include what governance is and more importantly, what it is not. The reason I want you to do that is because oftentimes when you clarify their responsibilities and people see it clearly, they they know their place. They know their place, okay? And I want you to set boundaries. Really set boundaries where your board should not be at every staff meeting or co-signing day-to-day tasks because it's not their job. It's not their role to do that and impede on those day-to-day activities because they're supposed to be meeting what? Once a month, once a quarter, whatever the bylaws say. Their role is to approve decisions and kind of guide you, like I mentioned earlier. So you need to set these boundaries. Okay, you need to also educate them regularly to let them have the information that they need to make sound decisions. So what that looks like is one governance workshop isn't enough, right? You need they need ongoing development too. Hey JB, how are you doing? So they need ongoing development too. So you need to make sure that you're educating them regularly. Give them information that's needed to help you make better moves in your organization. You need to build in accountability in the board, right? Board members who don't fundraise, connect, or show up consistently, you need to call, I will call them out. Like, hey, this is what the organization needs. And I will need the board members to assist with this, right? Because at the end of the day, if a board member is not able to help with these different aspects, because then if they can't fundraise, at least connect you to someone. Because everybody and their mama has somebody on their phone or has somebody in their network, on their LinkedIn list, connection list, Facebook friends list that they can reach out to for something. Okay. I don't care if it's money, I don't care if it's volunteering. So they need to be able, if they can't fundraise, to connect or show up consistently because they need to be able to also dedicate their time and resources to the organization if they cannot fundraise. So you have to build in an accountability aspect because if they're not able to govern correctly, then that's just their ego talking. Hey, Ricky, how are you doing? So that's just their ego talking, and you need to be able to call them out. Because then, like I said, If your board is out of pocket, you need to have a structure in place for them. So that is exactly the kind of work that we do in strategic planning. It's a 6 months engagement. We don't just create a plan for your organization. We help you realign your governance structure, your operations, and your leadership culture so you can scale without chaos, drama, and the hoopla that's not needed. Because inside this strategic planning process, we are going to work to assess board alignment, help create decision-making protocols, define executive director versus board roles, and embed strategic goals into daily operation. Because I'm personally not interested in surface level fixes. So I work with organizations that are ready to operate like $1 million to $10 million missions, right? Not volunteer committees stuck in survival mode. Because at the end of the day, there are some committees and some board members that are stuck in just surviving and making sure the organization can actually help 3 to 5 people per year. This is not the space. Okay. So if your organization is ready to operate like it's actually generating $1 million to $10 million in annual revenue, this is the space for you. If you want to find out more about the strategic planning engagement, you can go to my website. Let me put let me put this in the comments on Facebook. So it's savjconsulting.com, right? Or just DM me. DM me strategic planning and I'll tell you a little bit more or send you the link. Now, for leaders, if there are leaders that want to start in a smaller aspect, right? There's this precision strategy session. It's a 90-minute intensive and will help you get clear on what's really holding your organization back, create an action roadmap, and finally stop spinning your wheels. Because if you're like throwing spaghetti at the wall all the time and nothing's working, then it's time to stop. So the link's in my bio or on my Beacon store, so definitely check it out. And like I was saying earlier, your board should be your partner. Just like some people have a partner in crime, right? Your board should be your partner, not your problem. So if you're tired of like always trying to figure out what the power dynamics are, who's the boss, who's this, who's that, that that does not serve your mission. It's time for you to actually lead differently because the leadership that you need is not that. You need leadership that has boundaries and where it's not just burnout with a fancy title. Because oftentimes, if you're the executive director and you feel like you're managing your board as well, to you're managing them to actually do their jobs, that's exhausting. Okay, so you deserve better. Your mission deserves better. The people you serve actually deserve better because if your organization cannot get itself together internally, then the people that you're serving actually suffer from that. So let's get to work. You can definitely drop the word strategy if you want more information. But also let me know as well and or DM me directly and then we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. And it is Monday, so happy Monday. I know it's a busy day for most people. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. I'm gonna go and just go about my day and I hope you have an amazing week. Bye, y'all.